This is a loophole that all manufacturers will try to exploit, and you need to be aware of it if you have a clothing brand. In manufacturing, there's a thing called tolerance. Tolerance is a slight variation from the required spec. In manufacturing, especially when it comes to apparel manufacturing, tolerance is unavoidable. That's because it's impossible to make two items exactly identical. Think of it like a variation or a deviation from the standard that you must accept or tolerate. There's going to be tolerances in every aspect of your product, whether you're talking about the fabric, the fit, the print, the trims, the GSM, the color. But the biggest area where this can go wrong is the measurement, the fit. The tolerance for any particular measurement point on a garment is typically around 1/2 inch, but it can be anywhere from 1/4 inch all the way up to 1 inch, depending on how tight you want to be with the quality control, depending on the fabric itself, how much elasticity and stretch and recovery it has, and all these other factors. This means that, say for example, if you order a batch of hoodies and on the size medium, you need the chest to measure at 22 inches, that means that in that bulk, in that batch of hoodies, the size medium can measure anywhere from 21.5 to 22.5 inches if your tolerance level is plus or minus 0.5 inches. Now, a 1/2 inch variation, that's negligible. No one's ever going to notice that. But the issues happen when a hoodie that measures 21.5 and a hoodie that measures 22.5 are both considered mediums. And if you're comparing the two next to each other, they're both a 1/2 inch variation from the standard, but they're a 1 inch different from each other. The two medium hoodies have a 1 inch difference in how the chest fits, and that's very noticeable. That's almost a whole size grading in some cases. This is when the difference becomes noticeable and it can create issues. Now, even if your manufacturer is technically allowed to ship products with this 1/2 inch variation, it doesn't mean that the bulk batch should be full of products that have this variation. This variation is there just so some products are allowed. Some variation is allowed, but the majority of the bulk, the majority of the hoodies should be at the standard required spec, give or take a few millimeters. If most of the products in your batch have this variation and they all measure 1/2 inch more, 1/2 inch less, then that is still poor quality control, even though technically it's allowed.